So welcome back everybody for another episode of the MILPA show. It's the fourth episode that we have going on. There'll be many more to come with a lot of great people, our guest speakers. Today we have Amanda. We also have our host, that's the co-host Rosara, and also our guest co-host Diana. She'll be tuning in. We're trying to teach her some of the skills of using our voices and really empower others to really take on podcasting as a way to educate our communities. So just to go ahead and choose our individuals, I'm gonna stay our guest. I'm gonna go ahead and let Rosara hop on the mic real quick.
What's up, gente? Thank you so much for tuning in. So this is another episode of the MILPA show, as Arturo has mentioned. And today we have LaSofaQueen, who is a mother, nurse, spoken word artist, and born and raised in Salinas. And I'll pass it back to Arturo for gifts and baggages.
That's right. And so just to inform you real quick, the topic of today's choice was about music, right? How do we use that to empower communities? How does that really identify with our own journeys? And also, how could we use that within our communities to bring light to a lot more ways to bring voice to some certain issues as well? And so, Amanda's a little plática de palabra where we really go to enlighten us regarding that. And just for y'all that don't know what gifts and baggages are, gifts are something that we want to share with others that we're really grateful for, and baggage is something that we hold with, like the way that we hold on our shoulders that we just want to let go. You think about it, like if it was an ofrenda, we're offering this to help one another. We lay down our baggages for others to kind of help us with, and I guess it's something that we are sharing with others to uplift each other's spirits. And just to go ahead and begin, myself, my gift is that I'm gonna be moving into a new apartment in the upcoming weeks. By the time this episode airs, I'll be in my new home. So it's something I'm excited about. The baggage is that it's gonna take some money to get a little U-Haul and stuff like that, but it'll be for a good cause, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, thank y'all for allowing me to share space in this way with y'all. And I think especially for this conversation, right? Music, art, and the way that we can uplift our community in this way through storytelling and sharing our experiences. So no baggage. I feel like I've been really kind of reconnecting with self, reconnecting with my community, and in that way feeling really empowered in myself, but also as a collective. And so I just feel the work doesn't feel like work, it just feels like more blessings, and like I'm moving in the right direction, but more importantly, like as a collective, we're heading in the right direction and putting our energy and our movement forward. So thank y'all for allowing me to share space with y'all in this way. Thank you. Palabra, Mateo.
Sorry, I meant to unmute and I cut off the video. So it was baggage, and what was the other? I'm sorry. The other
Gifts
and baggage. Okay, so I guess my gift would kind of be similar to Arturo's. I just moved into a new apartment, so that's been really peaceful lately. So a lot of connecting with self and getting used to being in my own space again. And then I guess baggage would just be the stress of just the everyday life, hustle, the working, the managing life, yeah. I'm sorry.
You're good. Yeah, thank you so much for
I get all nervous when I'm interviewed. I don't know why.
You got this. Girl, there's gonna be so many more interviews. Don't you worry. We are your practice. And with that, I will share my gifts and baggages. In terms of my baggages, I would say I'm still waiting on this mattress. And well, it is what it is. UPS is backlogged and I've been sleeping on the floor, but it's actually pretty good on my back. Like, I don't think I sleep poorly. And so I would just say my gift is just, I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have clean water. Y gracias a Dios that I'm breathing and I'm moving. So thank you for that. And thank you all for being here for this space. LaSofaQueen, I would like to ask you as a first question. So what started your journey in hip hop and spoken word? Tell us a little bit about that.
So my journey with hip hop has been a long one. When I think about it, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I've actually been doing this for this long. It doesn't seem like it. But I guess I started writing for myself, like middle school, high school is where I really, really started journaling and really forming poems, I guess, poetry. I didn't know it at the time that it was poetry, I guess. And I discovered hip hop through my older brother, because he still is a big hip hop head, but that's kind of my first experience with hip hop through my brother. And then as far as actually getting out there, I would say that I got really inspired by my younger brother. My younger brother in high school, he used to compete in like poetry slams, and he used to go out to open mic nights. And I would say I want to say I was probably like 19 or 20 when I actually did my first open mic night that my little brother invited me to. And it was at the East Village Cafe in Monterey. And ever since then, it just like sparked something in me that I guess it's kind of like riding a bicycle, like getting out there and actually doing it. And then once you realize like, oh, I could actually do this, or this is fun, this is exciting. It was a new experience for me. So that kind of the poetry part of it, really, I kind of held on to that for a really long time. And I didn't even really tell people for a long time that I used to write poetry or did spoken word. And the journey from that point to now is just mind-blowing, because I've met so many people in the community through hip hop and through spoken word that have been putting in work. And when I think about it, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I was in my early adulthood when I discovered that. You know what I mean? Like when I actually knew that there was a scene in Salinas, or that there was people on the same page as far as artists, that just kind of needed a space to express themselves. And so hip hop has been, the journey with hip hop is like, I would say it was my first love. Yeah.
I like the analogy,
Yeah.
That's something I really liked about what you said, that when it comes down to like artists, we have to find our own like community, we have to really find out who's out there and really be, find our sense of belonging within them. And I was wondering too, like it's interesting because it's often that we have to create the space ourselves. We have to search for that community, and that space is not there for us. Like schools do not provide that service for us, or any kind of like clubs are relating to music. And I was wondering, like, if you were to think back when you were younger, like what would be some great things that you would have participated in that, because it took so long, because you had to do a lot of searching, right? And it took a lot longer for you to find those things. If you were to have access to that when you were younger, what would be those kind of things that you would have really enjoyed participating in?
I think for me, it definitely theater, specifically Chicano theater. I feel like that it's been a big part of my adulthood now, or it's starting to be a bigger part of my life. And I feel like I said earlier, like if I would have discovered some of these things earlier on, they would have definitely given me the confidence at a younger age to really not be afraid to just go out there and try things and express myself. Because I feel like for me that was the biggest thing, is I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I was afraid of what people were going to think of me, or what they were going to think about what I was writing, because it wasn't necessarily trendy, or like what you hear on mainstream radio, I guess. Or I was coming more from a personal space, and that obviously when you're coming from a personal space is very vulnerable. And so I feel like if things like that, like Chicano theater, or writing workshops, creative writing workshops, like things like that, I feel like would have been really influential for me, and those are the kind of things that I want my daughter's school to have, and I see her at an early age, how she's been involved in not necessarily like writing or poetry, but she does dance. And I've seen in the couple years that she's done dance, how much confidence it has brought out of her. So I think yeah, I can only imagine, what I'd be up to. Yeah.
Yeah, and I first saw you perform at 831 Fest on August 31st last year in Salinas at Somos Gallery. And so tell us a little bit more about, like, what is it that you feel when you're on stage performing? What is it like to be, and it was hosted by Solar, so shout out to him. And so what
Yeah.
does it feel like to be a part of, and I've seen on Instagram, on like social media and whatnot, right? Like you being a part of the All City Sound Bombers. So, and that's particularly, it seems to be like a lot of dudes, right? So I guess the question is, or I don't know, the question is kind of twofold, right? First, like, how do you feel when you're performing on stage, but also like being a female within the scene?
When I get up on stage, I still get so nervous. I get so nervous. But I guess that's a good thing, right? You want to feel nervous doing the things that you love doing. I guess it makes you realize that it's still doing something within you, I feel honestly, when I get up there, it's kind of like I'm just doing my thing, I'm not really worried about who's gonna like it or what they're gonna think. But after I perform and when I communicate with or when people, like when we just have that moment where everybody's kind of just exchanging thoughts and opinions and stuff, it overwhelms me with the amount of support that I do have in my community. Because when it comes down to being a woman in hip hop, obviously, there's a lot of negative things that can occur in that type of territory because it is such a male dominant genre. But luckily, I haven't really experienced too many negative experiences. I will say the only thing that I have encountered is I'm always undermined. People always think that I'm gonna suck, or or they just don't expect what I bring to the table. So, but that's kind of a good thing, I guess, keep them guessing. But I'm trying to think of what else I want to add to this. I will say that right now there is more of a space, or women have created more of a space in hip hop right now, like in the time that we are now. I definitely see a lot of MCs out there that are representing for women in the right way, so that's cool to be a part of that movement.
So I acknowledge that you take on a lot of different roles, right? You're a community member, you do a lot to the community, you're also a mother, you're also a person that people look up to, right? Like when young mujeres might think about hip hop locally, they might think about you, right? And the way that you go about it and stuff like that. I was just trying to envision, like, what would be some things that you hope to see in the future? What are some things that you wish to spark and that you value? What are some things that you hope to bring to light or further create as you go on as a many things as you are, the many roles that you carry?
I feel like we've already in the couple years that I've been collaborating. I had let me see. I wrote down some notes to keep my thoughts organized. So let me refer to them so I can touch on the points that I want to touch on. I will say that I've already started to see some of the things that in my community, and back to kind of what you were saying, how sometimes you have to create those spaces for yourself. And I feel like back to scene is kind of like a lack of, for lack of better words, I use the word scene, but there is a community in Salinas that supports local artists, that wants to create that space for Salinas and turn Salinas into, or better, or rebuild the reputation that Salinas has, because Salinas does have a negative reputation when you ask other people outside of the community, and even within the community, people still want to put a lot of negative feelings towards Selena. So I want to give a big thank you to Bactun 12, El Teatro Campesino, the Alisal Center for Fine Arts, because those are some of the community organizations that have really opened up dialogue and have shed light on how beautiful the community is and the struggle, and has shown the struggle in such a beautiful way through art, you know. Like, kind of going back, I'm kind of all over the place, I'm sorry. But when I think about how I started with hip hop, and it started, okay, I started making music off my phone and a voice memo and SoundCloud. So I'm a SoundCloud rapper, right? But through there, I was able to find people in Salinas that were making music, and that's how I actually connected with my friend Lombriz and M7, and they actually invited me to do a show at Cesar Chavez Library. And that was the first time I had done like a little show or a little event in Salinas. And I remember I was so nervous, I had to sit down on a chair to do it because my knees are shaking. And that was the first time that my daughter actually got to experience me doing spoken word, and I still have the video that she recorded of me. But anyways, I actually met Jota Effectus through there. And through there, I think I also met Joey. And from there, I was able to connect with the Alisal Center for Fine Arts, and we were able to organize a lot of dope, beautiful events. And the Alisal Center for Fine Arts in general has done so much for the community. And like I said before, and I found out in my early adulthood, you know, about all these amazing things that establishment has been doing for the community. And I'm like, what? How am I just finding this out now, you know? And through there, I met Chago from Bactun 12, and we were able to organize some events alongside with a lot of local artists, and we were able to put on some underground shows called the Speakeasy, and we did a lot of those shows at the XL Public House. And through there, I've just been seeing, before this whole COVID thing, you know, before this whole COVID thing, I'm sorry, technical issues here. Before this whole COVID thing, I was starting to see like all these hip hop shows, you know, popping off in downtown on like a Friday night, Saturday night, you know, or daytime, all ages. And then of course, you know, your 21 over shows. And it felt good to kind of be a part of that spark, you know, that spark that has always been there. But I feel like over the last year and a half, like I started seeing it more, you know, and a lot of that is all community. It's all community. And that's why I get so frustrated with the budget, because I think about how that money could be so helpful to our community. And I think of all the talented artists in this community, and it's just a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame that money is not being properly used. And I could think of all the things that I could think of all the ways that we could use that money.
Yeah, and even feel free to share, right? In what ways do you feel like you could have furthered, because you're continuing to grow, right, as an artist, and you're going to continue hopefully creating projects for all of us to listen to, right? But I feel in what ways do you feel like you would have grown maybe at an earlier age in your musical aspirations if the city and the county prioritized the arts and young people? What would you have wanted to see basically at a younger age?
At a younger age, I would have definitely wanted more recreation centers. It blows my mind because I went to elementary school at Sherwood, right? It's on the east side, through my whole, from preschool to 6th grade. And we used to have a boys and girls club, a super tiny boys and girls club at the back of our school. And the whole time I was there, that boys and girls club never changed. We still had the same equipment. They actually think they ended up shutting it down by the time we left. And I feel like it's such a shame that that's kind of all we had in elementary school. And then going into middle school, I went to Hardin Middle School, and I don't really even remember having any type of music or art in middle school at all. I think I had a history teacher that used to be an artist, so he would draw murals on his chalkboard. And I always thought that that was like super dope. And he used to do portraits of all his students. You know, and I think like, man, like imagine if that teacher would have been an art teacher as opposed to a world history teacher or something, you know what I mean? So definitely include arts into middle school, because I feel like middle school is such a pivotal moment in growing into your pre-adolescence or your adolescence. You know, a lot of people are going through puberty at that time, and your emotions are just like all over the place. At least for me, I know middle school was rough for me. So definitely music classes, art classes, theater classes, more after school programs. I mean, my parents were a little strict, so I think for me, even the opportunities that I did have, because my parents were always working, that always also played a big role into why I wasn't like allowed to join sports or do extracurricular activities, because my parents were always working, you know. So creating safe spaces for kids of parents who work full time. I mean, that would have been, you know, amazing too, to have programs that actually care about your kids or our kids, you know. Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of things that our community lacks is not really valued, and I think even when it comes down to hip hop or is, you know, being an artist, I think besides being undervalued, we are often stigmatized, especially like the hip hop scene. You know what I mean? And so I was wondering, like, like for me, like envisioning it, if they're in our communities, I've seen that how it has brought a lot of people together and has brought a better reputation or a more positive reputation onto Salinas and other communities as well. And I'm just wondering, like, for those that continue to undervalue what hip hop is or art is, like, what value does it bring to your life? What, like, I know you mentioned like confidence and those personal things, right? But what else does it provide to for those that are partaking in that community?
I think it definitely has provided a lot of opportunity, opportunity to connect with people that I don't think I would have necessarily connected with if it wasn't for hip hop, or if it wasn't for the arts. I think it's brought a lot of positivity into my life, and it's brought a lot of positivity into my circle, at least for me personally. When I think of hip hop, to me, I feel like it's a part of it's like a lifestyle, I guess, you know. It And it's not like going to the club or getting drunk, or that's not, you know, that, not that lifestyle. It's the lifestyle of practicing the art, practicing the work, of being like honest with myself, and allowing me to share my truth in a way that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do it just speaking to you like this. You know, when you have time to really like process your feelings and form them, you just project them better. So I think it's a lot of work that I don't think people understand, or they don't really care to understand. And it's either because they have this misconception of hip hop. That is true, because it is really demeaning sometimes. Not sometimes, it is demeaning to women in some occasions, certain types of hip hop, you know. But for me, hip hop has a positive meaning in my life and in my community, and and the friends that it's brought into my life. So
I mean, just to kind of echo kind of what you're saying right now, I think that the work that you're doing in itself is enough, you know, like isn't, you can always, like, we can always do more, pero like I think it's important to meet ourselves where we're at right now, and like you and staying vulnerable and sharing your story and like speaking from your own experiences. I think that serves as an example, you know, as an example, if that's the word that we want to use. But I think inspiration, and just kind of like setting the ground and the foundation for other folks to share from their own lived experiences, right? Sometimes we can't always tell people what to do or what not to do, but when we kind of live in our truth, I think that also moves other people to live in their truth. Like I know when I first saw you, like again, it was around the period where I was still kind of like coming back into Salinas, and like kind of like getting to know my community again. And when I heard you speak, like, you know, one of my favorite songs, like the when your ode to poetry, right? Oh, poetry, like that's like, that was like, I felt seen, you know, and I was like, wait, people in Salinas are talking about this. Like I was gone for like four or 5 years, and like again, growing up, I also felt very disconnected in that way. And like seeing you performing your pieces, fue como el enlace, right? That connection, and almost like a reconciliation with the community. It's like, aquí está mi gente, here's my people, you know. And so I think and you staying vulnerable, that paves the way to like continuing that process of like staying open to learning, and staying open to like, okay, what more can we do? How can we better support? How can we better like form this like brown black solidarity? And I think just even, yeah, just like really uplifting our community's voices. So sometimes, you know, I guess I just wanted to kind of offer that perspective, because I think you are like in staying vulnerable, it does a lot for the community and provides a
thank
space
you.
for growth.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was very sweet. I appreciate it. You know, and it's kind of like moments like that where I can connect with other women or other individuals, you know, where it might not, I'm telling my story, but in some way, if you can connect to that story, it's like we share a moment, you know, or if you can find something that speaks to you in even if it's just like one verse or one word, you know, that triggers something in you, that's like where you do feel connected to a person in that moment. You know, you don't necessarily have to know them. It's not like a physical connection, but it's a emotional connection. So I think for me, that's been like the most like the sweetest part of it is people finding or connecting with my music, because again, I'm just putting it out there. You know, it's just work that I'm putting out there. It's my art, it's my offering, and if it speaks to you, then great. You know, that's amazing. And I guess I've done what I intended to do. But if it doesn't, that's okay also. You know, I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. Not everybody has to like me, and that's okay. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your time and for being with us, and just even thinking about all the different roles that you have, right? I think that you're definitely an example of what it means to be a mujer in this day and age, right? Trying to carry all of what you carry, right? Being a mother, being an artist, being a nurse, being someone that is, I think, conscious. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with just even being conscious, right, of your surroundings and the way things go down, right? And so I guess I would offer as my final question, you know, what would you tell the, you know, little girls, younger kids that might be watching this video of you, right? What would you encourage them to do, especially if they're within the arts, within music, within, interested in theater or interested in just kind of exploring different ways of expressing themselves? What would you want them to know?
What I would, it's I love that you mentioned that question, and my daughter's right here. She's here watching Fuller House. She's obsessed with that show. Anyways, for me, I guess what I would want to tell, or what I would want, somebody, a younger generation watching this or hearing, is that it's okay to not be good, that it's okay to not be good at it, at first, that it takes time, that it takes practice, that it takes repetition, that it takes multiple failures to finally succeed at something, or and the word success or whatever, that as long as it's making you happy, and it provides a way to I'm trying to think of, I'm sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. Because I think of like my younger self, and I think of what I wish I would have had as an influence in my life as a young lady, or as a young woman, and I just wish that somebody would have told me, that it's okay, that I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm gonna get emotional.
Bring it on.
But I just had a lot of feelings of like worthlessness when I was growing up. And I just want, like, any younger person that's watching this is like, that you are worth it, that you are worthy, that your voice is important, that you are capable of doing great things, you are great things. Yeah, sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional.
That's what we do here. Arturo made Chago emotional last time. Thank you so much for sharing that.
This is a therapy session.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful. And yeah, just thank you for sharing that. And I think it echoes, maybe Diana has something to say about this as well. And then I definitely want to pass it to Arturo. But yes, what you're speaking of, I think that's very real. And sometimes that's not even voiced. So people don't, especially girls, young girls, don't think that that's real. The concept of feeling unworthy, that's a very real thing that I felt in my life. And that it's taken me 29 years to, no, you are worth it. Like, you're cool. Like, you're a great person, right? And so I just want to say that much, and just thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the fact that, we're always like constantly like trying to like prove ourselves in some ways, or sustain a certain like image, but more in like the direction that we're trying to move, whether it's for ourselves or our families sometimes, right? And it's putting other people before ourselves, but before we can do that, it's like remembering like our worth and our needs, and what it is that we need to like really honor, that greatness that we all hold, right? And so no, I think that message is received, Amanda, like again through your work and the way that you carry yourself, esa energía que llevas, that energy, like that shows up before you speak, so yeah, I guess I just want to say that.
My last wish también is that, follow Indiana. We all are medicina, Diana, you medicina, Rosara, Amanda, LaSofaQueen, I don't know. LaSofaQueen, you are medicina, and all you that are listening to, you are medicina too, But y'all definitely have all the power to really enlighten different people, bring change to other, things that are going on in the world. And just, the love that y'all carry, something that really goes to change a lot, within our own communities. But back to you, Amanda, like, you really have been doing a lot that, even when I saw you a couple of times when we're in community, some of the events, like when you spoke, people listen, even I listen, and I was like, oh, damn, like, what you're about and stuff like that, because the way you carry yourself, you show yourself as a leader. And I think when it comes down to hip hop or just being a community member, people are looking up to you. And I really do appreciate all that emotional work, all that labor that it took you to actually, be where you're at, because people really following those steps. And I think someone put it like this one time, oftentimes we feel like quitting, but when we look back, we see that we have been a path for so many people, and I really appreciate you for the hustle that you continue doing, and everything that you are, constantly, working on, because a lot of people are following those steps, and you're doing that not just for your own family, but for your community, and that's really appreciated. And that's all the words I have to say. I just want to say gracias.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate you guys for all the work that MILPA's been doing, and I know it's restless and tiring work, and I genuinely appreciate folks coming together and doing like even just a podcast takes a lot just to set up a podcast or to set up a Zoom. There's a lot of, it's like, I'm just really proud of the community because they've allowed space for artists like myself, and like I've seen you, Arturo, perform your spoken word, and I thought it was so beautiful. I think it's very, very beautiful the way that you have your storytelling. You there's moments that I've heard you that it takes me back to, like, to my childhood when I've heard your voice. And then even Diana too, I've seen you post, I've seen your little poems and your posts and I'm like, yes, like, get it, like I want to hear that, and I've been seeing a lot of people, not being afraid to use their voice lately. And again, people have their own opinions, to each his own, but just, it takes a lot of courage just to say, whatever it is that you have to say. So thank you all.
All right, so con eso, just a final thank you, and be safe, be well, and congratulations on your new spot. I know that's always peace of mind for sure. Congrats to Arturo as well. We're all moving on up, it's all good. Pero yeah, thank you for joining us for another episode of the MILPA Show, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.